Greetings, everybody. I'm Dada Veda Pragyananda, or people call me Dada Veda. Whichever one you like is okay with me. So today, I want to address a topic or question which has often been posed, and that is, what kind of food or foods should a meditator or a yogi or someone practicing yoga, what kind of food is best for them? So my general advice, first of all, is to follow what nutritionists are saying. They recommend certain foods which will help you to live healthfully and for a long time. And we want to live for a long time because the path of meditation is a long one. It will take your whole life really to complete it. So we have to have a good body and good mind for quite a few years. So follow the general nutritional advice that people give and avoid foods which are considered junk foods and things like that, which will be harmful to you, and get to foods which will be helpful. But in addition to whatever people are saying in the general field of nutrition especially here in the West, are advice or findings which have come from two yogic sciences. One is the science of yoga, the philosophy of yoga, and also a related discipline called Ayurveda, which is a health discipline based also on spirituality. And both of these systems of thought have identified three general forces in nature, and those forces are manifest in foods, and those foods have different kind of effects. So I'll give an example. So the forces which they have identified are threefold. And first one is called sentient or Sattvik, Sattvaguna in Sanskrit. Sattvik force is the adjective, the sentient force. And what does that do? That brings about peace and tranquility and calm, understanding in the mind. And in nature, it can be seen like on a clear pond in the morning. There are no ripples, and just everything is calm. And then they discovered there's another force which is called rajaguna or rajasik or mutative force. And an example in nature is a crashing waterfall coming down, and then the rapids. Everything is in motion. Every drop of water is in motion. So that's called mutative. And then they looked and they saw there's also another force which they call static. And this is the force of inertia. So if you have a giant boulder in front of you and you try to move it, you can't move it because it has so much inertia, so much weight in there. You can't do anything for it. So this is the situation in nature, but this situation also comes in our foods. There are foods which give a sentient or calm or peaceful feeling to the mind and are good for the body in addition. So what are those foods? Those foods are grains, fruits, vegetables. Most vegetables, I'll have 3 exceptions at the end, or 2 exceptions. Things like this. And seeds and nuts. And also in the original yogic science and Ayurvedic, dairy products are there, although these days people sometimes want to avoid them. That's another whole question we can discuss at another time. But anyway, these are the sentient foods. So grains and fruits and nuts and seeds and dairy products, whatever. But that kind of a mix of sentient food is good for the body and it's good for the mind. It won't disturb your flow of meditation. And then there are foods which are in that in-between state. You can say that mutative state. They are the coffee, tea, chocolate, mild stimulant kind of thing like that, spices like that. So in moderation, they're not a big problem for people. You can have that. But of course, you know that if you take too much of some of those, then it will disturb your mind. You can become very restless in the mind. So we don't want to do that. And then the third category is the static force, the Tamasik force, Tamaguna. It's that force which is giving dullness and stillness, but dullness, not so sharp. And what are these foods? Meat, fish, eggs, and then certain vegetables, onions and mushrooms and garlic. These foods are not good for the mind. Now, certain of these foods, like I know that, like some people say, oh, garlic can be good. Yes, it can be good, but for the body, never for the mind. It will never be good for the mind, but it can be good for the body. May or may not. But for the mind, not so great. So what is a yogi to do? Choose the food with mostly of that first group of, say, that sentient, that pure, calm food. And as you are what you eat, so you that kind of energy that's in that food will also come into your mind. And that's the theory of it. And you can work it out in your laboratory. You can practice. You can see which foods are helpful and which foods are harmful to you. So that's the best way. And one more thing which I really want to advise you is that you don't have to worry about that, because I suggest just starting the practice of your meditation, start the practice of your yoga, and then sometimes you'll find that your taste will change from within. So it's not like I'm pushing you to do it. No, from within you will decide, oh yeah, this works out better. This works out better. And oftentimes we find that a certain food, oh, it hurt my stomach. It was not so great for me. I drank this thing. It really was not a great idea. So you find out, we know from the hard knocks of experience what is good and what is not good. But the same here, but the difference here, which I'm saying, is that as you practice a spiritual technique or spiritual discipline, your tastes will change from within. And then you can easily adopt a diet which you never would have expected before, and move on with that and get really great results in health and in your mind and in your spiritual practice. So that's what I want to tell you about, and I hope that you can make an experiment in the laboratory of your mind and body, try it out and see what works or not. So I hope that's good advice for you. And for those who are here on YouTube and podcast platforms, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, recommend it to others, and leave comments and things like that. And we'll see you in another episode. So thank you for listening, and take care all.